Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video. So we've already done the 5-day forecast, and you can find the video to that on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit, it's underneath the link ad. So there's also written version, you get to that via the buttons at the top of the page, and that'll take you off to be able to read the written version of the 5-day forecast. Potentially easterly winds are coming back, so it could be a lot of dry weather, but it'll be quite cool, and there'll be showers in the east. But if you want to know more, check out the 5-day forecast. This is the 40-day look ahead from the Beijing Climate Centre. We're going to go through towards the end of November with this update. We'll look at 500 with our high anomalies first of all, and then we'll have a look at corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies as well. And I'll get off that in a second. Just say about the ads, I've just mentioned them. There's links to articles on the page. If you have a browse through widgets and click through links, you'll be helping us to pay for our website. And thanks very much for doing that. So, we're going to start off, let's say, with 500 with our height. So we'll have a look at corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies. They're broken down into 10-day periods. So the first 10-day period takes us from the 16th through to 25th of October. And the bright colours will extrapolate to above average heights, which is high pressure. The blue colours will extrapolate to below average heights, which is low pressure. So the coming 10 days finds a ridge up to the north and to the northeast over towards Scandinavia, and the flow is coming in from an easterly type direction, something like that. So there's a lot of quiet weather with that, but it's fairly cool as well. We bring those easterly winds through, and it means that western parts have the driest weather, the east always at risk of showers. I think that's a pretty good representation of where we've got coming up over the next few days and even into next week. Now, the next 10-day period, which goes from the 26th of October through to the 4th of November, still keeps above average heights around the UK, so lots of high pressure influences going on then, and it's also extending into many parts of Europe as well. The jet stream is probably running to the top of that, so there's lots and lots of dry weather coming up with that one. We'd be seeing, I think we'd be seeing quite chilly weather at night. By day, probably quite cool as well, actually, although the model will be going for warmer than average temperature because it isn't able to see the radiative cooling that goes on at this time of the year. So the model will look at this and think it's going to be warm with this high pressure. Actually, it will be fairly chilly, particularly at night with all that high pressure sticking around the country. The next 10-day period, this goes from the 5th through to the 14th of November. Above average height, still very close to us. This time they're moving more to the west-southwest, with the flow probably coming back into the Atlantic. So that might turn a little bit more unsettled for the north. For the south, still lots of dry weather going on, I would think. And maybe a little bit milder, especially so for the northern part of the country. And then we finish up with the final 10-day period, going from the 15th through 24th of November. And still loads of anticyclonic influences. It's going to be a very dry period if this is right, going through to the final stages of November. Could be remarkably dry, actually, with still lots of anticyclonic influences. And with high pressure close to the country, I would have thought there's a good chance that temperatures by night, particularly, would be on the cold side. Now, temperature anomalies, as I say, they're going to look warmer than average throughout all this. So the general idea is to take at least a degree, maybe a couple of degrees off these temperature anomalies. So the coming 10 days, significantly milder than average from the 16th to the 25th of October. Reduce that to close to normal. The next 10-day period, again, that one comes out milder than average. Again, reduce that down closer to normal. The third 10-day period, that one looks milder than average also. That might be close to how things will work out because the flow is going a little bit more into the Atlantic, but it's probably a bit over top even for that. And then the final 10-day period, and you are seeing the flaw of these long-range / climate models at work. They overdo the temperatures. So the final 10-day period, also looking milder than average. Again, reduce that much closer to normal, somewhere like there on the scale. That's the flaw of the seasonal / climate models demonstrated for you over the top with the temperatures. In terms of the precipitation, so the coming 10 days, generally around average, really, and just perhaps a little bit wetter than you would have thought with high pressure up over Scandinavia. But remember, eastern parts of the country are exposed to that easterly wind, so yes, okay, there will be showers going through to the east. For the north and west, probably is likely to be a bit drier than that. The next 10 days goes from the 26th through to the 4th of November, a little bit drier than average, makes sense given the pattern. The next 10 days looks more unsettled. I thought the Atlantic possibly does come back a bit there from the 5th through to the 14th, so it goes a bit wetter than average. I think that probably makes sense. That's likely to be a milder period as well there, from the 5th through to the 11th of November. And then with the heights building back across the country again, it goes drier than average from the 15th to 24th, rounding off what could be a remarkably dry latter part to the autumn. It's already been quite a dry autumn anyway. September was dry and very warm, of course. October been pretty dry. Now, this will be a remarkably dry autumn if things pan out like this. The temperatures do look very warm there throughout the next 40 days. They're overdone, especially the first part of it. It isn't going to be anywhere near as warm as that is suggesting. So I think the temperatures will probably come out fairly close to average, but expect risk of cold nights, particularly early on, with risk of ground frost and also mist and fog patches as well. So the main story from today's 4-day look ahead is that we're in for a lot of dry weather, high pressure dominating, and it could be that autumn 2016 is remarkably dry. We'll have to see how it finishes up. That's all for now then. Thanks for watching.